welcome back to part 6. This episode we might actually finally get the bike to be able to go around and do things. You know what's arrived? Ow. This has arrived. You wondering what this is? This is the back rack, so I can finally mount that battery pack to the back of my bike. That was a lot of rhyme, or whatever, alliteration. And once I get that on, I'll be able to put the battery on there and actually ride it around. So without further ado, I'm gonna start doing things. And like that, the back rack is installed. It's looking pretty good. Now all I gotta do is finish up that casing for the battery, and then I can just plop it on here, run the cable up into here, plug it in right here, and it should be a working bike. What do you think, Dad? Okay, so, this thing is gross. Well, I can deal with gross. I can't deal with not having a bike working. So the plan is, I'm gonna cut this up, and I'm going to cover this battery pack in it. The plan is I'm gonna get rid of this plastic because I don't need it, but I'm gonna have a wooden piece on this. I'm probably gonna need a smaller wooden piece because this thing is just overkill large, and if I have to, I'll cut it down. I hope I don't have to do that because that's a lot of work. And then I'm basically gonna go and just make sheets that cover this thing up and envelop it to make a battery pack. So well, let's get into it. Okay, as of right now, I don't actually have a great way of getting this mounted. I didn't really think this through much at all because I have this thing right here. I should have thought this through. Right now I'm gonna plan to go like this, maybe goop in here, zip ties, the legs. I'm not really sure. I'll figure it out. See in a bit. And like that, I have obtained more power than you can ever imagine. What I did is didn't focus my camera. I put this thing on, I put a piece of wood under here as a plank, and instead of doing this in a good way, I just kind of janked the heck out of it, and I used so many zip ties. This thing had so many more zip ties before I started actually doing stuff, but that's okay. But basically, this is now pretty well secured. It does not want to move. So I'm going to take this out for a quick spin. Also, once this episode is over, this project is definitely not done. I still have many more things to do. The most important ones that are on my mind right now are, first, putting a front brake on, because that's kind of important. Brakes are important. 2, I need to put a switch on the cable back there, because right now every time I plug it in it sparks, and that's just not fun. So if I could turn an off switch, plug it in, turn on, it would solve a lot of problems. I need to put front and back lights on, because if I want to drive this out at any time in the dark, I'm going to need lights. Oh, and I need a pedal assist mode. I have that pedal assist things. But besides those 4 things, this bike's looking pretty good. But for now, I'm actually probably going to put this off till tomorrow, shooting this video of me test riding this because it's super dark out and you won't be able to see me. But I'm actually going to take this out for a spin now, and you'll see me do it tomorrow. It is the next day and it's finally time to take this guy out for a ride. I've been waiting to drive this guy around for so long, and this is gonna be fun. Okay, now that I have gotten this all set up, I'm gonna take this out for a spin. I'm going to mount this to the front and fly around, see how it goes. That is what I call a success. I'm going to take this on a spin, and I'll see you at the next location I get to. Unfortunately, my camera's battery did die while I was recording this section, so to the end. Okay, so after that quick test ride, I think it went pretty well. There are some issues. I gotta tune the brakes. My camera's gonna die. I need to tune the brakes a bit. I definitely need to adjust the gear shifters because they're the cable for the shut-off switch on the brakes is in the way. But overall, it went pretty great. The only thing I need to test is I need to see how much electricity that used from the battery, because the battery was showing when I was pulling it down that the voltage was dropping down to empty, but I know it wasn't empty because when I let off, it went back up. So my guess is the batteries just can't supply as much power as I was hoping. Or all these yellow cells are actually secretly dead and I just didn't even know. But for now, I'm gonna plug it in just to see how much voltage it's at. So if it can only supply like a low power rating, but it will at least last, I'm okay with that. But if the voltage drops really quickly, that may be a problem, especially if I wanna ride it to school sometime. So let's test out that voltage. Okay, so at that, it's about 50 volts. So that's not a super big drop. Let's just call that a 10-minute ride. So let's say it has an even drop in power the entire time. So if it's at 50 right now, it lost 1 volt. It can go down to safely, let's say 32 volts. So there's another 8 volts it can drop. So that's 9 volts total. And 1 volt took 10 minutes. So it should get about an hour and 10 minutes of ride time. And I was actually doing some a lot of powerful maneuvers. Like I was going up hills, I was going right in the woods. It wasn't for a long time, but theoretically, if that checks out, I actually don't know if these batteries have a solid voltage drop off, but if they do, this thing might actually work how I want it to. But we'll see later. Anywho, I think this episode is about done, but it went really well. The bike is finally working. Yes. As I said earlier though, there's a lot of things I need to do, but that is for later episodes. Anywho, I'll see you guys in one of those.